Welcome to the Global War Watch Network. Today, we're looking at a huge development in air power, one that could seriously shift the strategic balance in one of the most volatile regions on the planet.
So let's get right to it. Israel has put an offer on the table for India, and it's for a piece of tech that could completely rewrite the rules of air combat. We're talking about the Skysting missile. This thing could give India a massive advantage over its rivals, China and Pakistan. So what's the big deal about this missile? Let's get into it.
All right, so what is this weapon that's making so many waves? Let's take a look under the hood.
Okay, these specs are pretty incredible, but it's the combination that's a real killer. A 250-kilometer range. That's just enormous. It means a pilot can launch a shot long before the enemy pilot even gets a warning blip on their radar. But the real secret sauce is the propulsion. This 3-pulse motor is genius. It can coast for a while to save energy, and then reignite for a final hypersonic sprint at over 5 times the speed of sound. So what does that actually mean? It creates what they call a no-escape zone of over 150 kilometers. Think about that. Inside that zone, an enemy jet physically cannot outrun or outturn this missile. It's a true paradigm shift for air-to-air combat.
Now, a weapon this powerful doesn't just get offered up in a vacuum. There's a very specific, very urgent reason why this is all happening right now.
The truth is, India has been watching its neighbors' air forces get a serious upgrade. China's PL-15 missile, and especially the version Pakistan uses, the PL-15E, well, that created a huge headache for the Indian Air Force. All of a sudden, their pilots were at risk of being outgunned and outranged. And this chart just lays it out perfectly. Look at those numbers. The Pakistani PL-15E can reach out about 145 kilometers. India's top-tier European Meteor missile, which they have on their Rafale jets, pushes that out past 200. But the Skysting, it blows past them both, stretching the engagement range all the way to 250 kilometers. It completely neutralizes the threat from the PL-15E and puts Indian pilots firmly back in the driver's seat. And this isn't just theory, a war game on a computer. During military operations back in May of 2025, in what was called Operation Sindoor, Pakistan apparently used their J-10C jets armed with these exact PL-15E missiles. That moment made the threat immediate and very, very real. It created an urgent scramble for India to find an answer. But here's the thing, getting the Skysting is only one piece of a much, much larger puzzle. India's playing a long game here, with a strategy that involves both buying the best tech and building its own. You see, India has its own incredible missile in the works, the Astra Mk3. On paper, it's a beast, promising to be even better than the Meteor, which is considered the gold standard in the West. But, and this is a huge but, it's probably not going to be ready until 2029. That creates this dangerous window, what some are calling a capability chasm. And that's the gap the Skysting is meant to fill right now.
Of course, having a super long-range missile is great, but it's useless if your jet can't see that far. And that brings us to the other half of India's strategy, a massive upgrade for its workhorse fighter, the Su-30MKI. This isn't just a fresh coat of paint. They're calling it the Super Sukhoi for a reason. It's getting brand new eyes, a state-of-the-art ASAR radar that can spot targets over 300 kilometers away. You see how that perfectly pairs with the Skysting's range? This is a complete overhaul, designed to turn a 90s-era jet into an absolutely lethal, cutting-edge fighter.
But it gets even more interesting. We have to talk about electronic warfare. In that same conflict in May 2025, India reportedly used a system called the X-Guard. It's an AI-powered decoy that gets towed behind a jet. It perfectly mimics the fighter's radar signature, basically tricking incoming Pakistan missiles into going after it instead of the real plane. The deception was so good that a former US F-16 pilot called it the best spoofing and deception we've ever seen. So India's strategy is twofold. Have the longest spear, but also have a magic trick to make the other guy's spear miss.
Now, this kind of tech sharing, especially offering up a 6th-generation missile, doesn't just happen. It's built on a foundation of a strategic partnership between India and Israel that's been growing for decades. And you can really see the evolution right here. It started small, with key support during the Kargil War in '99. Then it grew into these billion-dollar deals for critical systems like the Falcon, Eye in the Sky planes. But now, with the Skysting offer, we're talking about co-production, about building this stuff together in India. That signals a whole new level of trust and a truly deep strategic alliance.
So let's pull the lens back one last time. What does all this mean for the stability of the entire region? Because this race for better and better technology has some serious consequences.
There's actually a classic concept that explains this situation perfectly. It's called the security dilemma. And the logic is simple, but it's also incredibly powerful.
Here's how it works. From India's point of view, getting the Skysting is a totally defensive move to counter a threat they already face. But if you're Pakistan, you see India getting a missile with a 250-kilometer range, and to you, that looks like an offensive threat that you now have to counter. So you go looking for new weapons, which then makes India feel less secure. It's a vicious cycle. And the real irony is that every move each country makes to feel safer actually makes the whole region more tense and increases the chances of a catastrophic mistake. Which leaves us with a really fascinating question about the future. What's the ultimate trump card in air combat? Is it raw kinetic power, having the missile with the longest reach, the longest spear, like the Skysting? Or is it about mastering deception, the ability to be a ghost in the machine, to make yourself invisible like the X-Guard decoy does? The answer to that is probably going to define who rules the skies for the next generation.
Thank you so much for your time. We hope this look into a really complex situation gave you some new perspective. If you found it valuable, please do us a favor and like, share, and subscribe to the Global War Watch Network.
But we really want to know what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Join the conversation on our social media channels. All the links for that are right there in the description. We'll see you for the next one.